Hi, I'm Mike. The bulls on the ranch have one job, and today they get laid off. It's time to give them a break and get them moving on their way to their winter home, which is usually easier said than done on our Wyoming Life. My plan this morning was to head out early and start sorting the bulls off of the cows and their calves. The weather had a little bit different plans, and doing it in the rain, well, really doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, although romantic. But that's okay. It gives us a chance to clean the shop and talk a little bit about the dirty side of the ranch. If you haven't already, take a minute to subscribe. We're heading into the busy season here on the ranch. In just a couple of weeks, we'll be taking calves to auction, and the ranch will receive its one real paycheck for the year as our calves move into the supply chain that goes from local producer to feedlots to finishing producers and eventually to packing houses and then your home. Before we get that far, we have a few housekeeping things to do. Cleaning the shop wasn't one of them. In fact, the first fall task that usually needs done around here is taking the bulls off of the cows. Taking them off is a simpler way of saying that we're moving them from the breeding herd on the ranch, and this will stop any breeding that's going to take place and allow us to control our calving season just a little bit better. The bulls have been with the cows since July. In that time, they've had just about all the fun they can and hopefully have impregnated the entire herd. We won't know for sure until we bring them in next month for their ultrasounds. But our usual success rate is right between 92 to 95%. We have 5 bulls out with the cows right now, and it's time to start the process of bringing them home. However, with the current rain, we're stuck in the shop for a bit. But that isn't such a bad thing, as it gives me some time to think. In the past, we've always sorted the bulls off and walked them home. Takes a couple of days. We don't like the bulls to walk far in one day, and although the journey is only about 5 miles, it's better to let them just kind of take it easy. They're pretty wore out, and those girls really work them over. So over those 2 days, we make them walk the 5 miles. Then we put them on a trailer and take them to their home across the road for winter, that we call the bull pasture. You might ask, why don't we just leave the bulls in with the cows all year long? And I would tell you that it's in order to control when calves are born. That's the main reason. If moms are only with dads for a couple months of the year, then we'll only have calves for a couple months. Then when it's time to sell those calves, they're all closer to the same weight and bring better prices at auction, what some buyers call an even herd. The other reason we take bulls out of the main herd and put them off by themselves is for our safety. You never know what a cow is thinking, and that goes doubly so for a bull. Most of our bulls weigh in right around 1 ton or 2,000 pounds, over 900 kilograms, and get this one, almost 150 stone. By the way, if you've ever wondered well, 1 stone is 14 pounds, and the measurement is still widely used in the UK and Ireland, mostly for human body weight. I'm guessing a bull would much rather say he weighs 150 stone as compared to 2,000 pounds. It's just much more slimming and looks better on your driver's license. All right, back to topic, Mike. A bull can mess you up pretty quickly, and my personal preference is to always know where they are. Mixed up in a herd, you might not see one until he's right on top of you, sometimes literally. And having them in their own pasture for winter is a much better way to control where they are. Plus, I think they kind of like it. They like to compare notes on which cows are the hottest and which ones, well, might be a bit cold. With the shop cleaner and the rain letting up, it's time to go to work. We know why we're moving bulls out of the breeding herd, but I can tell you from experience, you never know how it's going to go. We have 5 bulls to find in a herd of 150 cows or so. With the weather, I'm hoping that the cows are bunched up, but it doesn't surprise me when I see cows scattered all over the few thousand acres that they call their summer pasture. The only way to find the bulls is to get right into the herd, and since we're going to be moving the bulls towards home, the closest ones are the easiest to move first. The first bull that we find is a young Red Angus bull. This guy's about 4 years old. He's in his 2nd breeding season here on the ranch, and when we've been checking bulls and cows over the summer, I noticed that he developed a bit of a limp on his front leg. I can tell you a few weeks ago it was much, much worse, and although I can't tell you what happened to him, I can speculate. Bulls aren't very graceful, and I've seen a number when they come down off of a cow after breeding, land wrong, and injure, sometimes even break their legs. Bulls also fight, that can cause injury, and yes, we do have rattlesnakes. Bites have been known to cause a limp as well. The good news is, this boy seems to be getting better, and we can start moving him towards a little vacation from the girls. Along the way, we pick up a couple other bulls that are close by. Another Red Angus bull who seems a little bit agitated already, and a Black Angus bull. When it comes to breeds of bulls, I like Red Angus. They usually seem a bit more laid back and easygoing than the black. But today, it seems like this one has something up his craw and just wants to be a pill. As we move towards the fence line, usually the plan is to walk bulls or cows along it, letting the fence work for you as a barrier to the cow. Then once they figure it out, it's just a matter of finding a gate to the next pasture. As luck would have it, we have an old gate just ahead of us, where we can push these guys through and into a separate pasture from the girls of the ranch. I don't think I've ever opened this gate, and it's definitely got an interesting latching mechanism. Looks like an old lawnmower blade has been repurposed to hold this panel closed. Kind of ingenious if you ask me. But also holding this gate closed is some sagebrush that has had the last few years to grow up and through the gate. With bulls and now cows and calves coming along with me, I better get this thing opened or give up and move to the next gate down the line. Sagebrush has insanely deep roots, 12 feet under the soil in fact, so pulling it out is probably out of the question. But by finding where it's holding on, I can fish it back out through the panel and eventually get the gate open. And of course, after all the prior interest, now the bulls are bored and trying to move on. Eventually though, with a little coaxing, we can get all 3 of these boys through the gate and take off to check out their new pasture as their girlfriends say goodbye at the fence. We can put the gate back up and lock it again, just like the lawnmower man. And now we're off to find the other 2 before it gets dark. We'll find out. Well, we have no clue where the other 2 bulls are. I do know that one is red and the other is black. And now it's just a matter of finding cows to find them. So we begin scouring the pasture with absolutely no luck. Mile by mile, we travel from here to there. And each and every black dot, or red dot for that matter, is worth a look. I've been through this before, searching for hours and never finding a missing bull, and then the very next day he just shows up. So I'm not too worried when I can't find either one. But then, when we travel over a hill and see a black body in a pond, well, that catches my attention. I think this is our missing black bull. He looks too big to be just a cow, and although I was over here just the day before yesterday, he wasn't here, and this pond didn't have as much water in it. This storm might have dumped more rain down here. This pond is in a washout area, and maybe he got stuck in the mud. We've seen it happen before, and it's never something you want to deal with. Here in the next few days, I'll have to come down and pull him out, take care of him, get him buried, and thank him for his years here on the ranch. With that, it's time to head home. Our missing Red Bull, he'll turn up, I have no doubt. And I'm cold and I'm wet, and for now, the bulls can rest as they start their trek toward home. So, triumph is usually followed by tragedy, or sometimes it's the other way around, but here on the ranch, it's no different. That black bull's fate really couldn't have been changed by anyone, and that's the risk of having cows in summer pasture, being so far from home. We check cows constantly, but with the vast amount of land here on the plains of Wyoming, I'll be honest with you, you can't be everywhere at once. I absolutely hate losing an animal on the ranch, and it does affect me personally. At the same time, I know there are hundreds more that need our help as well. But death is something that I never want to get used to. I've lost cows in labor, I've had sudden cases of bloat, and yes, we've had cows drown before. And we'll deal with that over and over again. It's a part of ranching. There's a saying that goes, if you have livestock, you will have dead stock. It doesn't mean you have to like it. Next step for the bulls will be moving towards home after we find our missing bull, who I'm sure will probably turn up tomorrow, probably with a big stupid grin on his face. Thanks for subscribing. Hunters are due here today for this year's antelope season opening on the 1st. And we, as you know, we always have a lot of fun with those guys. And coming up next week, we'll be replacing the engine in the gator. So that should be an adventure in itself. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we look forward to continuing to bring you along as we explore the ranch life and escape the ordinary. I'm gonna go warm up a little bit, but until I see you again, have a great week. And thanks for joining us in our Wyoming Life.